Goshen, New York, Goshen, New York, Goshen, New York.info.
Like a diocese?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. The 91 Presbyterian churches in this area make up that presbytery. And I go through their board of trustees and seek approval, and I'm sure they would grant a 30-year lease. And then we go from there.
May I ask?
Yeah.
A very pointed, it's the same issue I raised before. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
That's okay.
If one is not looking to do anything else with the property, and since it is the center focus of our village, why, as is done in many instances like this, we don't have a 99-year lease? I mean, a long-term lease. 30 years is one generation.
It is.
I would want to, if agreeing to this, I would want to secure it as the park in the center of our village, you know, for a long term.
Yeah. Well, let me share with you that about every 20 to 30 years, this issue comes up between the village and the church. We can go back as far as 1953, and it's a recurring theme about that generation. In a generation's time period, somebody seems to forget about where the property lines are. So it would actually work out ideally that if it were renewed in 30 years, it would kind of be a reminder to everybody. And also the fact that we're asking for $1 a year, so that there's constant reminder.
My only concern about that, Reverend Tinsley, is, you know, once we agree to this, and I appreciate all the work that's been done, constituting the history of all this.
Right.
But once we agree to this, there is no further discussion on our part. I mean, you own the property, and therefore I am looking for a way just to secure it as the parkland that is the center of the village for a long period of time.
Well, the church has been good to you for 150 years.
And vice versa.
You know, I know, but no, it's our property that we gave to the village. That's not going to change. I don't see that changing.
I just want to ensure it, that's all.
Well, I guess I can't give you a guarantee. You're going to have to, we've had trusted in the good graces of this village for 270 years, and vice versa. We've been good to the village has been good to us, and that's not going to change. We have a long-standing history of working for the betterment of this community together, from the church providing the property for the first schoolhouse that was ever built, the church providing the property for the courthouse that was built. It goes on and on. That's not going to change.
I'm not contesting.
Yeah.
I'm merely saying.
I understand your desire.
I know.
And I'm giving you what I can.
Give me your answer.
I'm giving you what I can. Okay.
For me personally, I think that 30 years would be acceptable, just because.
You'll be young and alive.
You want to record that? I can see that in the record.
Well, I think we'll say it for the record. I'm sure we'll say it for the
I
record.
can't speak for anybody else, but I don't think the mayor and I will be there.
Thank you for that, Steve.
Well, in 30 years, we're all right here.
Yeah, that's right.
I would like longer too, and I think Marcia brings up a good point, but I think given the circumstances and what you can offer, you know, there's always what we would like to have and what can be, given. That would work for me, solely speaking for myself.
Okay.
I went back and I looked through all the correspondence in the nice package that David put together, and I just said, the last time the gentlemen were here on behalf of the church, I said that this is kind of where I remember being left when I went off the board in 2005, and in looking through that correspondence, I see that it's the vicissitudes of politics, that there was couple of other administrations or another administration came on board, and there were some discussions, and David also put in there the realities of politics of the 5 people that sit here now, finding someone. And I would just hope at this point where we just had an election and we have a year before there's any change here, that we come to a resolution of this, one way or the other. Either we go ahead and we do this, or somebody says they don't want to do it, but that we not have it. It seems like it's kind of meandered on through no one's fault. I mean, I'm not blaming anybody, but as these things happen with changes in village boards and whatnot, I think we ought to try to bring it to a resolution one way or the other.
Could we, like, we used to word it that where 30 years, and then say something like renewable? No?
Why is that?
Because 30 years is what we feel we can commit the congregation to. Now, what we might be able to do is this, because I hope to still be around in 30 years, but you never know, I may not be. What we might be able to do, what I would be in favor of is we could, it's called precatory language. We could put, it's non-binding, but we could put in language of what our intent is. And the intent, I think, is that the village would be able to continue to use this land, but we feel that we cannot bind the congregation beyond 30 years. What precatory language would be, it would be a hope, an expression of our views, but it is non-binding. We could do that. I don't want to speak for David, but I think we could do that.
If I
Well, I
could,
can't speak for David, but I think the congregation would go along with that without any trouble.
I met with our insurance carrier last week to review the policy to get terms and price quote, and he reviewed our information, and I shared with him that we do not have a lease agreement with you. They are mandating that we have a lease agreement with you.
Or we're going to have to take back the property and not allow use of it.
He wants a lease agreement, and he wants that the village will indemnify home,
Why all of a sudden?
because no one ever followed through with it. I took the active approach to get price quotes, and he reviewed my policy, he said, absolutely not, you need a lease agreement. You have to, and the language will include to indemnify and hold harmless the church to the full extent possible or practical by law. He wants that language in the lease agreement.
Well, I have to say that in so doing, the village has always asserted, every time that we've confronted this issue and why there were no votes taken, that it read on the village maps that it was Village of Goshen property. I'm not taking one position or the other, and that way it is listed on the village's insurance policy, and always has been. The action,
It's not
well,
always.
as long as I've been here.
1976.
All right, as long as I've been involved, it's been that way. The change is all of the change, and the fact that your insurance company, understandably, is saying that you need to do this is because of the church's assertion and wanting this agreement signed. I can only say, and I appreciate what you're saying to me, but I have to close my portion of the discussion by saying that the community at large relies on that property being the church green and the focus. And what will happen, there are serious questions. What happens to the farmers market? What happens if people want to march the way they, when they have something that they disagree with and they want to march? Once it's church property, do those rights change?
You're saying once it's always church property.
It has not been treated as church property in the past. It has not been listed by many people as church property in the past. I'm not jousting with you. I'm simply saying that that was the reality of it. And that was the
Have we ever told you what to do on that corner?
Never, but it...
Correct. We never have.
Never have, but it was under the jurisdiction of the village for permit. I'm not trying to be problematic. I'm trying to deal with issues that I know are going to come up. So how are we going to deal with it in working together? How are we going to deal with it?
We're not going to change that whatsoever.
So you
You have a lease. Yeah, it makes it your use of that property. We don't want any say in what goes on.
All right, so the village would go on administering
Absolutely.
in whatever fashion it does.
For a term of the lease, we would have no right whatsoever to use it. It would be the property of the village for the term.
For usage.
For your determination of the use.
Okay, all right, well, that's good.
And it had come up once before, I think I'd mentioned this the last time we were together, that somebody said, well, then if the quote, something like the Nazi party wanted to march, into this church property, that could be stopped, and we're against that. As much as I find distasteful the Nazis, we are stronger on the rights of Americans to be able to speak. So that's not going to change.
All right, well, I think it's good to have clarity on who would be administering those decisions.
And that type of clarity can be inserted right into the lease.
Yes.
I think that would be necessary.
Sure.
And we'd want it too.
No, I'm sure, I'm sure. I'm sure you would.
So I think there might be two issues. One is the lease agreement, and the other is the acknowledgement of the property, that being of the church.
Correct.
And administration, 3. Administration.
Goshen, New York, Goshen, New York, Goshen, New York.